today's video, we're going to replace the VSS sensor, or vehicle speed sensor. Hello, I'm Eugene Tordo. This is ET Garage, and today we are going to replace the vehicle speed sensor in my 1990 Chevy Corvette. Now, later years, I believe, when they went to like the 4L60E, they went to a different type of vehicle speed sensor, and the speed sensors that I believe came from 90 to 84, I may be wrong, someone correct me down there, should look like this, and they don't make these anymore. And what they do is now is you get one from a Camaro, which uses a different plug, and you use a pigtail adapter. You can buy these with the pigtail adapter if you already, or you can make your own pigtail adapter, and just buy the VSS. Now, I've replaced this VSS some time ago, I don't know, a couple years ago, and it's, from what I can tell, it's leaking. I'll show you a picture here, and you can see in the picture how it's leaking. I actually thought it was coming from the transmission lines on the other side. VSS is on the driver's side, and if you look at my video, I'll leave a link to it at the end of this video, about the transmission lines, which I ended up not replacing. The leak is stripping down on the X pipe and then running over to the passenger side and tripping down. And that's why I thought the leak was from that side. And I got under there and realized that that wasn't the problem. I did have a leak in the past from the transmission line, and I tightened it up, and that fixed it. I thought it started again, but anyway, it turned out to be the VSS as far as I can tell, and so I'm going to replace it with a new one. And the reason I'm replacing with a new one is I believe it's leaking internally. It ain't just the O-ring, and I'm going to move camera around to the tabletop here so I can show you the difference between the original ones, the new ones, and what you have to do when you change it. So let me move the camera around, we'll do that. Okay, first we're going to start by comparing the old one to the new one. As you can see, the old one is all aluminum housing, and it uses a different connector, which is why you need a pigtail adapter, and the connector is off to the side. Also, the newer ones are plastic. I haven't seen them in anything else but plastic, and they're of course a slightly different design. And they have this plate here, where this would have a plate that goes on it that is separate, that would not come with a new one, and it'll have a tab here, and these actually come in two different part numbers. You don't need to know those part numbers because they don't make these anymore, but I'll show you why. You would have a tab that goes here, and I don't know if you can tell by this picture here, but these are offset. Notice this ain't in the center, it's like offset, elliptical. And if you look here, this one here is also offset. I don't know if you can tell, it's just like that one is. And the reason they do that is this gear that will be on your old one that comes out of the transmission, depending on what gears you have in your rear end. For, I believe, all the C4 Corvettes from 84 to 96, they changed them over the years, but the majority of them came with 259s, and they would use a white gear. I know this looks yellow, that's because aged, but it would be white if it was new. And 307s, if you had the 307 high performance differential 306 gears in the Dana 36, which came with the automatics, would have a green, I believe a green gear. We'll find out when I pull the old one out. I believe it's green. And what happens is the difference in the part number is the way this is designed to be turned around 180 degrees. In other words, with the 259s, it would go this way. With the 307s, it would go this way. Now, some years came also, I believe, with a 273. Anyone want to leave a comment down in the comment section? Let me know. But what you can do is like when I switched from 259 to 307s, basically I just ground these tabs down, rotated this 180 degrees, and mounted it that way. Now this VSS is still good. The reason I replaced it is, you can see this is old and brittle, and the plug, even though the plug would stay in there, I just figured it was a good time to replace it. Unfortunately, the new ones are prone to leak, and part of the problem, I think, is this diameter of this is about 10 thousandths smaller than this. I measured it with a dial caliber, and you can see that's like, see, 2 inches, and we'll just say 2 inches 75 thousandths. This if I compress it, yeah, it's like, I'm gonna say 60 thousandths, so it's like 15 thousandths smaller in diameter. The O-ring is the same size, and the O-ring says the same O-ring and same diameter, but the body is smaller. And if you look on the inside, it actually like steps down a little bit from the outside. I don't know why they did that, but that's the reason. Now with these, you see you have this clip here. This is removable. So what I'll have to do, like, depending which gear you have, you may have to take this off, pop this off, and you pop it to the other side and then rotate it. That's what I did with that other one that's in there. And I'm going to do the same with this. Now, I'm pretty sure this is leaking internally as well as externally. I've seen a lot of oil inside here where there shouldn't been, where the pigtail goes. I'll get it out and I'll show that to you. So I'm going to add an extra O-ring. This is a O-ring from a fuel injector to here. This actually fits a little loose. It's just going to act like a splash guard. And I'll pour a little transmission fluid in here before I put the O-ring in, and all that good stuff. Now if you want, you can test this out of the car with a VOM meter and a drill. You basically just hook that. Here, we'll do this first. Stick a drill in it, spin it, and hook the 2 wires to the VOM meter. Set it to, I believe it's 20 volts or something like that, or 200 millivolts, or whatever your VOM is set up for, and try and get a signal out of it. Here, we'll see if we can do it. And another thing you can do is you just hook the pigtail to it under the car, turn your ignition switch on with the battery hooked up, and spin it and watch your speedometer. You may not be able to see the speedometer while you're underneath the car doing that, so you'll either have to have someone watch, or you put your camera there or your phone and record it with a video or something. But I'm going to try and do this, but it's difficult to do. It's difficult to do while filming and all that good stuff. It just is. So we'll try. We'll see what we can do. I don't think this VOM meter is that good either. See what I can do here. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. When I spin this, hopefully you guys can see that. See how it's generating a signal? So that's how I know this is good. Now we'll check the new one. My clumsy butt doesn't destroy it. This I have a harder time because the connectors are different. So I don't know if I can get a good reading or not. Yeah, I'm not getting I really need a set of clips for, because this uses a different connector. I actually need a different set of clips. Yeah, it's doing something, but I'm not getting a good connection. So what I'll do is, whoa, I'm dropping stuff all over the place. Right, if I don't destroy this before it gets in the car, I'll hook this up to the pigtail before I put it in the car, and I'll spin it with the drill and make sure I get a reading on the speedometer. So let me go ahead and do that, and we'll see what kind of reading we get. All right, the drill is hooked up to the VSS or speed sensor, and we're going to spin the drill and see what kind of reading we get. And it works. All right, I verified that the new one works. So now I can go ahead and remove the old one, install the new one. When you install the new one, you want to put a little bit of oil around there, transmission oil. Don't put, or fluid, whichever you want to call it. And before you put it in there, and that helps the O-ring seal better. You could put grease. If you do use grease, make sure it's compatible with automatic transmission fluid. I've heard of people, they went ahead and just cleaned it real good and put RTV all around this to make sure it didn't leak. Maybe I should do that with this. I'm kind of thinking about it. Thing is, when you go to pull this out, if you have to replace this, it is going to be difficult. Let's get under the car. I'll remove the old one. It's just that one bolt can be difficult to get to depending on your exhaust and all that stuff. Also, I was under there, I noticed the pigtail adapter was starting to get burnt. It must have been hitting up against the exhaust. So I'm going to have to make sure I reroute that correctly and maybe put a little heat shield. I think I have some heat shield material I'll put around it. But let's get under there and get that done. Okay, it's out. This is the 10mm bolt that I took out. I was able to use a ratchet, reach up there on mine with a ratchet in it. Now, this will depend on what exhaust you have. If you have the catalytic converter there, I'm not sure how you could reach it. I'm not sure if you have to take the catalytic converter off or not. If anyone's done it with the catalytic converter on, please let me know. But I was able to loosen it with the ratcheting end of this combination wrench, box combination wrench, and only get it so far, of course. And once it got loose, I had to just use a regular box end, 12-point box end, and just inch it off. And it took forever. Getting this back up here is going to be a real challenge. I've done it before. It's just been a while since I've done it. But here's the old one, and as you can see, I do need to move the move this around. I'm just going to take this one off. You can see where I also slotted it. So I'm just going to take that one off, pop that one on there. And if this was the original one, it would just have a plate that goes like, just goes on here. I can't find that plate, but basically it just goes on there. This would go underneath the plate between the transmission and the and that plate that's shaped like a fork, and go like, and then this would just go over like that. With these, what you do is you can either use a short get a shorter bolt, or you put this on top of this, and I did have to slot that to get it to work right. So something to keep in mind. And that's how I got that on there. That might actually be part of the problem with this. I might be better off, I'm trying to think if I would straighten this and put this underneath there, if that would hold that in better. It's kind of hard to say if that would make any difference. I might be better off doing it that way. That's a good question, I guess. Anyway, let me get this transferred over. I'm not going to show a video of me transferring this over. I'm just going to take a screwdriver, pop that out. It is a little difficult. Pop it onto the new one. This thing was in there real loose. I don't think this is going to make any difference. You can see, I guess you can see the amount of oil inside there. So I don't know if it was also leaking internally or not, or it just got a lot of oil over it. So let me transfer that over. I'm not going to video me putting it back on. It's too difficult to work under there with the camera. One thing I need to point out is you might want to have a bucket under there because a lot of oil poured out onto the floor, of course, and all over my GoPro and all that stuff. So just be careful when you take it out, and make sure the gear comes out with it. Okay, this is the green gear I was talking about. This has to go on to go transferred to your new one like that. This actually stayed in there when I pulled this out. I was lucky I was able to reach in there with my fingers and get it out. And as you can see the difference in diameters. This is for the 259 gears. This is for 307 gears. Not going to go into that. I'm going to transfer this over, get it in, and finish up this video. Okay, the new one is in there. I did have a hard time getting the bolt started, and I had to like inch it up in there with the wrench a little at a time, but once it got it started in there, it went in pretty good. The new one snapped in a little snugger than this one. If that one leaks, I'll go back to the old one. Also, like I said, make sure you have a bucket under there when you pull the old one out. This will catch the fluid, because you'll have some fluid that pours out, and you want to check your fluid level, of course, after you're done. If the new one leaks, I'll go back to the original one. This one has over 200,000 miles on it. It still works. It's just that the plastic is old and brittle. If I have to, I'll silicone an electrical connector in there. That's all what I'll have to do. This one never leaked the whole time it was in there. The cheap plastic Chinese ones, I think I've read on forums where other people have problems with them leaking too. They're just not made correctly, in my opinion. I'm not sure why they made the ones for the Camaros and Corvettes different, and it might have something to do with the exhaust. I'm not sure. If anyone knows, let me know. But these do work. You just need that pigtail adapter. Which also brings up, why didn't GM use the same pigtail on them as this? You know what I mean? I don't know. One of those things. But in the meantime, time will tell if it leaks or not. And if it does, I'll be making another video. But in the meantime, everybody have a great day, and God bless.